Hi, Year 5. We're going to start today with quite an open-ended task. So we're carrying on with our adding and subtracting decimals. We're on lesson 13. And we've simply got a picture of Hannah with two spaces. And she says these numbers add up to 1. So I'm not going to tell you any more. I want to keep it quite open. I would like you to investigate, experiment, see what you can tell me about those two numbers that could add up to 1. So when you're ready, you can come back and join me with the video. Okay, so I think it could be 7 and 3. What do you think? Do you think I'm right? Am I not? Hopefully you can spot that actually I am not correct, am I? And why am I not correct? What is it that I have done wrong? You can see hopefully that 7 and 3 makes 10. It doesn't add up to 1. I need numbers that are less than 1. So they have to be decimal numbers to add up to 1. I can't have any number that is a whole number. It has to be a decimal number. Okay. All right, have a look at this one then. So could I have 0.09 and 0.01? So have a quick go with that. See what you think. Jot it down in your book. It'd be lovely to look at Tapestry and see you answering these questions in your book. So see that you've followed along with the video and you've answered these questions. So could I have those two numbers? Could I use those two to add up to 1? Okay. Give you a little moment to have a think about that. Not going to answer that just yet. Okay. So I want you just to think about what mistakes have I been making? What have I been doing correctly? So have I been using something that could help me to do it correctly with the right decimal places, right number of decimal places? Hopefully in your head you're thinking number bonds, 9 and 1, 7 and 3. There are number bonds that we can use. Okay, so we've got Hannah here and she's saying these numbers add up to 1. Is there just one correct answer? No, there's not, is there? There's many more than that. And what we're going to do today, if you have started to think about it, you might have some scribbles around your book of the things that you have thought of, the answers that you can think of, but maybe you've got an answer here, an answer over here. Oh, that one, it could be that one as well. What I want you to think about now is, can you be logical with your answers? Can you go through now and make sure that you're systematic in your process? So rather than just going, oh, I could have these two numbers together, I could have these two numbers together, can you think more systematically? So pause the video, have a look at your answers and see if you can think systematically. Okay. Mrs. Cutler's just come in the classroom. Okay. So have a look at these number pairs. So you've had a think for yourself now. So have a look at these number pairs that I've come up with. I want you to think about, those are some of the answers, but what have I done wrong? How could I improve my answers? How could I improve the way that I'm recording my answers? So at the moment, I've given some potential answers, but I don't think that's very logical. I haven't thought about a systematic way of recording. So go back to your book and have a look and think about how can you be more systematic in your approach. Okay, so pause the video now. Okay, so if we have a look at this, you can see that I have started to be systematic in thinking, right, if I'm going to have 1 and 9, or 0.1 plus 0.9, then my next sensible option would be 0.2 plus 0.8. Next sensible option is 0.3 plus 0.7, and so on. So I've gone through my options, but is this a complete list? Is this all of the options that I could have, or are there more? Okay, so if they're the solutions you came up with and they were the only solutions, I'm going to tell you now that there are more that you could use. So pause the video and have a little think about which other solutions you could use as well as those. Right, I have found this number, 0.25. Can I use it? Am I allowed to use that number? It's not a 1 decimal place number, so am I allowed to use it? Well, let's have a look. Let's explore that number and see whether we can put another number with it to make 1. Okay, so let's have a look at what it would look like if I was using my decimal place coins, my place value coins. So I've got 0.25, which is 2 in my, sorry, I'm going to put it up here actually, 2 in there, and let's get rid of those. And then I've got 5. I'm going to make them smaller just to show that actually that number is smaller. Scrolling them, I should have got some place value counters, shouldn't I, that I could use. Okay, so how many more? I'm always going to start on this column here. Okay, just like when we're adding, always start on the far right. So how many more of these place value coins do I need? So I've got my tenths here, my hundreds here. How many more do I need to get a complete set here? Okay, I've got 5 already. I'm going to need another 5 down here. 2, 3, 4, 5. So if I've got 5 add, oops, I didn't want that. 5 add 5, it's a bit small. Let's make that a little bit bigger so you can see it. 5 add 5 is how much? Well, I should say then 5 add 5. We're thinking about the way that we've been adding. I'm going to exchange my hundreds for 1/10. So I'm going to put 1/10 over here. This is my tenths. Look, let's record that. Okay, and that leaves me with none left in here. So I've taken all of those and I've put them into here. So that means I've got 1 more here. So now my number is no longer 2, it's actually 3. Look, because I've got my 1 down here and my 2 up here. So 2 add 1 is 3. So I've got my 3/10. So how many more do I need to make it up to a whole number here? Because I want this to end up as 1, don't I? So if I've got 3, I'm going to need 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, so that means I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 there, 7 in that box. So I counted on 7, I counted on from it. Okay, so I've got 2 and 7, but I've got my 1 down here. So a reminder that I've got to use that 1, which is why I had an extra tenths counter there. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Right, I've got all 10. So once I've got 10, I can then exchange it for 1 in that column. Okay, so that became 10 and 0 add 1. Okay, I don't want anything in here, do I? Don't want to put anything in there. I nearly put a 1, like 0 and 0, but I've got that 1 here. So what's my number? This is kind of picking it apart. So you might look at that and go, that was really, you made that more confusing than you needed to, only because I'm trying to show you what's actually happening, show you that process. So if I had 0.25, I needed to add 0.75 onto it. Okay, right. Let's have a look at another one. Well, actually, before we do, have a look at this. This is where I'm using my knowledge of number bonds, known facts to help me. So I know that 7 and 3 makes 10, which means that I know that 0.7 and 0.3 make 1. I know that 0.6 plus 0.4 is going to make 1 because 6 add 4 makes 10. And then this one here, this is where we're using our knowledge of what are those chunks of numbers that make up 100. I know that 50 add 50 is 100. And so I know that 5 add 5 is 10. And so I know that 0.5 plus 0.5 is 1. So it's all of those things that we combine together using and applying our knowledge to help us with other aspects of our maths. So here I know that 25 add 75. Okay, I need a 75 in there. 25 add 75 is 100. So if I know that I've got 0.25, I want 0.25 plus, and we'll come back to that one in a moment, I want to make 1. I don't want 100, okay? So I'm making 1 this time. So 0.25. My other number here is going to be 0.75. Okay. So I made that 100 times smaller. I have to make that 100 times smaller because my answer is 100 times smaller. So it's really, really important that you think about using and applying that knowledge that you already have in this answer. Okay, we're going to have another go at one. So let's have a look at this one here. Okay. I said to you, can I use 0.01 plus 0.09? Well, let's have a quick look at that. If I have a 0.09, let's see, does it add up to 1? Well, 1 add 9. If I were to put 1 counter in there and 9 in there, that would mean that those could be exchanged for 1/10. All right, and that looks like this, doesn't it? 1 add 9 is 10. So they'll exchange the 1 into the tenths column and put our 0 here. Then I've got nothing here and nothing here. Got the 1 here, so that's going to be a 1 there. And then there's nothing in that column. So does 0.01 plus 0.09 equal 1? No, it doesn't. It equals 0.1, which is 10 times smaller. So what am I going to need to change with my numbers? And I'm going to leave you to think about that one. What do I need to change with my numbers? If I've got 0.01, if I've got this number and that can't change, what needs to change with this number? So think really, really carefully about what would I need to add into this column, or perhaps I need to add something here. You have to decide. Okay. Remember, my numbers have got to be less than 1 because combined they make 1. So the numbers have got to be less than 1. That's really important. Okay. Is it true that if one of the numbers is 2 decimal places, the other must be as well? So I would love to see you have a go at answering that and proving it to me in your maths book. Is it true that if one of my numbers is to 2 decimal places, so for instance, the number 0.25, does the other number have to be to 2 decimal places? Yes or no, and prove it to me. So I'll be looking out for that in your tapestry today when you answer your tapestry. Okay. Next thing then, could we use numbers with 3 decimal places? Remember, you can pause the video at any point. If you want to work on things and then come back to me, you can. So don't be panicked by how quickly I'm rushing through. I'm obviously moving through it, so you can pause when you want to. So could we use numbers with 3 decimal places? And what is the maximum number of decimal places we could have to combine 2 numbers to make the number 1? So there's some digging deeper questions there for you to have a really good think about and see if you can answer those in your book for me. Okay, so your guided practice will be actually quite simple. Hopefully you've done a bit of this. We've had a look at these. So it's a part-whole model. So we're saying, what would we use to combine together to make 1? Then we're looking at numbers with 2 decimal places and moving on to this one here. All right, and then there's a quick question, a quick worded problem for you. Then when you feel confident with that, you've marked it, checked it, made sure that you've got the right answers using the answer sheet that we give you. Then you're going to have a look at the workbook, similar idea. You're going to use the part-whole models. Then you've got 2 worded problems to have a go at. Now your extension today, these are not all of them, so please make sure you look at the sheet. You can choose your own level of challenge. So there are 3 questions for each level. There's level 1, level 2, level 3, and they get progressively a little bit harder. You can decide which you would like to do, okay? And it's going over reasoning and problem solving using decimals, and it's all things that we've talked about. So it's talking about combining decimals together in different ways, because remember, we wouldn't necessarily just add our ones to find our ones column, our ones answer, our tenths. Sometimes we might recombine in different ways. So that's really important to think about. Okay, so that is your task today, your extension task if you get onto it. But I would really, really love to see some of the questions that I've asked you about your In Focus answered in your books. Now, if you're looking at this thinking, oh, I'm not sure, we are going to go through it in our Zoom lesson today, in the morning. So if you're looking at this before our Zoom lesson, then don't worry, we'll have a little look at this together. Okay, so have a good time, and I'm really looking forward to seeing your wonderful explanations today.